Welcome to New World Religion. We do not seek fame. We seek to leave a testament of our existence, a testament of desire, that desire being to uplift humanity and to change the trajectory of the human race and to mold the minds of generations to come. Once again, this is New World Religion. Imagine that your consciousness passed on from its connection to the physical body, and when it entered the realm of mass consciousness, or multi-consciousness, or group consciousness, or consciousness socializing on a pure conscious level, when it entered that realm, it was still full of desire and forced to return to Earth and forced to connect or link its consciousness with a physical being with one stipulation. That stipulation being that it must connect its consciousness to a being that has its energy DNA, meaning it must connect with its descendants. So that consciousness comes back in the form of his or her grandson or grandchild to exist on Earth once again and have an opportunity to fulfill the burning desires it once had while connected to a physical form prior. Now, let's say that the form that it connected to, which was its descendant, lives in poverty. How likely is it to be able to fulfill its desire? How likely is it that this consciousness will be able to fulfill its physical desires while connected to its descendant that is in poverty? Most likely, it will not be able to fulfill all of the burning desires it has, which means it's basically doomed from the reconnection or from birth to relive this physical existence. Because while that consciousness prior to connecting to its descendant, when that consciousness was connected to its previous body, it did not create a system of wealth for its descendants, which means it did not create a system of wealth for himself or herself or its self, which means that it doomed itself to relive a physical existence in poverty. This is why it's very important for us to fulfill our obligations of getting, maintaining, and leaving wealth. You must gain wealth so that you can fulfill your desires. And if you gain the wealth it takes for you to fulfill your desires, exhaust your desires to the point to where they are no longer desires, then you can exit the building. But let's say you got wealth and you fulfilled the majority of your desires, but not all of your desires. Did you get enough wealth to pass on to your descendants so that in the case of you returning, reincarnating within inside of your descendants or your DNA strand, your lineage, you would be able to fulfill your desires because you left wealth to your descendants so that they could fulfill theirs? And did you leave a system of education behind for your descendants to follow so that the wealth would be continuous and so that after a certain amount of generations, no one in your lineage would have to come back to relive a physical existence upon this earth? It is imperative that not only do you get wealth, but that you create systems and education for your bloodline, your lineage, your descendants to be able to have, so that they can create systems of wealth and education to leave to theirs. And so that as this system and these educations are compounded on generation after generation, that it gets to a point to where you no longer have descendants upon the earth that cannot fulfill their every desire. Now imagine you had these children and you were unable to get wealth or even create a desire for wealth. You were unable to create a system of wealth building inside of your lineage, inside of your family. Let's say all that you created was poverty and a poverty mindset to be passed on generation after generation after generation. And then you come back. What images do you believe you would see? What atrocities do you believe you would have to deal with after compounding poverty upon poverty for generations? Crime, murder, molestation, hunger, starvation, homelessness. And that definitely is not the existence that any of us desire to have for ourselves. Unless in a prior life you desired to be amongst the downtrodden, because you had it all and your only desire was to experience what the downtrodden had. Well, that would be the only way that you would be fulfilling your desire, and that would be a quick fulfillment. We do not want to leave a legacy of poverty, because by leaving a legacy of poverty, we leave the door of poverty open for us to return through. We must leave a legacy of wealth that will leave the door open to wealth for the generations that come after us, so that in the case of us reincarnating into a family member, a descendant, we will not have to reincarnate into a poverty-minded descendant or a descendant that lives in poverty. We could reincarnate right back into the wealth system that we created generations before. And this is why it is imperative. It is your obligation to your consciousness, to your energy, and to your family and descendants to get wealth, create a system of wealth, to educate your children, your family members about wealth, and to pass wealth on, so that when you return, if you return with a cushion to pad your existence and to give you a step up so that you could fulfill the remaining desires, the remaining burning desires of your consciousness. This is New World Religion.